What's up guys, this is episode 4 of viewer requested tracks. This is a series where I take in your suggestions through your donations and I react, review and kind of break down the music you guys send. I think we have a super cool blend of music here today. One of the tracks has also a music video to go along with it, which is really cool. Big shout out to everyone who has been donating. You guys are certainly helping to keep this operation running. The 3 donors today are John B, Oblivion and TQ, so big thank you to you guys. And lastly, I have a video hopefully releasing tomorrow or maybe the day after of a top 10 list of all the music I've heard thus far on this channel. It is almost the end of the year, so I thought it would be a good idea to kind of wrap up by having a look back at the best songs I've heard so far on this channel. I mean, we've covered a lot of music and certainly some awesome tracks who I'll be ranking in a list tomorrow, so you guys can look forward to that. Other than that, let's get into the music. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, here we go. First up, we have Slave to Love by Bryan Ferry. This is TQ's suggestion. Now, I didn't know anything about Bryan Ferry, so this is kind of a little bit of an intro for me and for you guys. He is a contemporary to David Bowie. He's thought of as being influential in a similar way he was in terms of their music and their appearance. He was in a band with Brian Eno, who is, I believe, a very influential producer. He made a lot of, he's a composer, a lot of film music, a lot of production for a bunch of really famous bands. And he was in a band with him called Roxy Music. So that's about as much as I know about him. 60s, 70s was his kind of heyday. So let's check out this track. This is Slave to Love. This is the music video for it. Here we go. Interesting atmosphere. Very cool, sleek visuals as well. I think it goes along with the music. Okay, I think the visuals do a fantastic job of making you understand what the music would have sounded like if you didn't hear the music, if you know what I mean. I think they go very well in terms of how sleek and cool this music video is. It's very interestingly shot. It's almost like a photographer's eye was behind a lot of the visuals here, and maybe Brian was behind the visuals. Certainly looks fantastic. And in terms of the sounds, I think there's a lot of interesting instruments and sounds being used, certainly to fill up the atmosphere, and quite an odd percussion section to it. It's got like this clicking sound going on too. It's kind of hypnotic. Fantastic music video. Some of these shots, the looks, the fashion in this thing, it really looks like it's out of American Psycho. And I mean that in a great way. That's a fantastic movie, fantastic book. So really interesting. You guys hear that? It's like a clock ticking almost. Oh, I like this. Very thick bass line. Whoa, whoa. Reverberating. Interesting track. Very cool music video. Great visuals to it. I have a couple of things to say. One of the best aspects of running this channel is the idea that like pieces of the puzzle in terms of the music landscape and then cultural landscape get filled up through listening to these songs, watching these music videos. And so you get a piece of what I believe is like the late 70s, 80s. Let me make sure I'm right about that. Slave to Love. 85. Okay, exactly. This is what I thought. It seemed a bit 80s to me. Okay, and then it kind of fills up the idea of what music and culture was looking like at the time. So really interesting in that sense. Now, in terms of musically, this is like mood music, right? It's not too heavy in any kind of department. It's got this flow throughout the whole thing. It's very, mood music is the best way to put on. I imagine, especially like TQ with his lady in the 80s putting this on, you know what I mean? Romantic candlelit dinner. Like, that's what I'm thinking. This is the music that you would have put on for that time if you were a certain kind of dude, right? You maybe worked on Wall Street or something like that. That's what I'm imagining in my head. Did I love the song? I liked aspects of the song. I think he's got a fantastic voice. Again, the music video was great. I didn't love the track. The music video, I think he murders the girl, right? At the end. That's what the photographers come in and take those photos, right? Pretty cool music video. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Again, good mood music, something to put on the background, but it didn't grab me. He had these great guitars. I'll say that about it. Maybe that's from his work with working with Bryan Eno, but it's like almost like a precursor to like Radiohead. Radiohead has very moody wall of noise that are filled up with guitars, and this had a kind of similar vibe to it. All in all, cool song, interesting listen, but I don't think it would be put on a playlist or anything like that going forward. So I guess that's my review for it. Okay, now on to the next track. This one was requested to me by John B. This is a band called WASP. This is a track called Mean Man. Now, a little bit about the band. They were formed in the early 80s. They are a heavy metal band, thought of as being like shock rock is the idea behind it. Now, John was saying that this is a great album. Now, I can't do an entire album reaction, so I kind of chose a track. This is the track he wanted me to listen to. This is Mean Man by Wasp. So let's get into this. Here we go. Whoops. Okay. Woo. That riff is mean. Okay, I mean, in terms of the sound of the track, it is what it said it would be on the tin. Heavy metal band, thought of as being shock rock. I don't know if that's like a derogatory thing to like a fan of the band, but that's what is described. But it's a hell of a lot of fun. It's crazy, like what would you say, like a drunk drive with your pals. You know what I mean? You're just swerving left to right. Who knows what's going to happen to you, but you're having a laugh while you're doing it. Don't drink and drive. It's just a metaphor. But they've got certainly some cool lines in this thing. Raised by the wolves and I grew up wild. A kamikaze man, a hollering banzai. He's got another fantastic line about Chewbacca. Chewbacca in the riot. I like that. Is he talking about the riot as in the river that is like... was really important in a lot of military battles, Napoleon, World War II. Is he talking about that right? I think he is, right? Chewbacca in the riot. Great line. All right, let's keep this thing going. Oh, Scooter Gypsy, I'm a renegade. Good line. Drums are crazy. Ooh. Oh my lord. Oh, they're doing the fade out again. They did it, man. The cardinal sin in all of rock music. The fade out while the guitar is doing the best part of the track. I hate it, man. See how awesome that sounds? Like, I would really like to listen to that. It sounds really cool. I hate it when rock songs do that all the time, man. I don't know if other genres do it the same way. Certainly hip hop doesn't do that. Like, you don't have the best lyrics or best bars happening while it's fading out. But it's used in almost every song. That's neither here nor there. Really fun track. Really fun track. This is like AC/DC meets Iron Maiden. That's like the kind of comparison I have in my mind. As I was saying, like halfway through the track, they delivered on what it said it would be on the tin. To the point, to the T. Very high frenetic energy with really, really fun lyrics. I like the lyrical part of it probably the most. It was just kind of hilarious, like Mad Dog 2020's King. He had a line in there that I guess I'll ask you guys what he meant. Something, it was like French or something like that, or Spanish. Marquise something. I can't remember what that part was. The Marquise de Sade. I don't know what that means. I lie when the truth serves better. The Marquise de Sade. I cheat and steal and rob a heavy metal creature. Yeah, cool song. I think the best part of it was the percussion part of the track. And again, the lyrics. The guy has a very cool metal voice. But I think, you know, this is just how I do music. I think it's fun to make comparisons. Some people hate it. I like it. I think the reason Metallica really stands out in this genre is because of their ability to continuously change the music within the song. They didn't do it so much in the very first album, but I think they learned with time that that's super important. They're like prog metal music. And as frenetic and crazy as a riff may be, they would change it constantly within the song, have different sections. This track was kind of one thing all the way through. And that's why I think Metallica stands above other metal bands. But cool track, man. It was a fun song. Okay, we'll move on to the next track. Okay, this is the final track. This was donated and suggested to by Oblivion. This is a track called Soma by Smashing Pumpkins. I have done a Smashing Pumpkins track review a while ago during 90s week. This is a band from Chicago that came up in the post-Nirvana era, where music had this kind of flip from hair metal, maybe a song or a type of music that was much closer to the last track we just heard by WASP, and it had moved into this more moody, darker, introspective, you could say, type of music, punk inspired type of music. And I think certainly this is a punk inspired band. I know the main guy who runs the thing. I forgot his name now. Let's have a look. His name is Billy Corgan. He's been on Joe Rogan a bunch of times. Seems like a cool dude. I think he has like a honeybee farm he was talking about on that, which is pretty cool. This is off their very famous album Siamese Dream. So here we go. Let's get this thing started. Very, very moody start. I love it. Very pretty guitars. Very, very pretty. Wow, great sound in the back. Guys hear that? Okay, just before we get into that first chorus, I really like what they're doing musically. I think this started to happen more so in the 90s. I hear it more than ever in like Radiohead tracks. This idea of layers within the track and as wall of sound being built and then things happening on the top of it. And you can hear that little sprinkly sound. It was a terrible description. But whatever that thing is over the top of it with this kind of wall of noise over the top. And I should have said, this sounds like a track that's on drugs. And I say that because this was inspired by a drug apparently in this book, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Great book. It's about numbing yourself through drugs. So super interesting theme. And I can totally hear that in the music. That sound is growing and growing. Like those pianos. Totally sounds like we're building up to a big moment. Oh, how thick are those guitars? Whoa. Flip the switch. Very interesting sound to this thing. Drug induced. Cool song, man. Liked it. Okay, a couple of things to say about that one. It seems like a breakup track, and the idea is that this person's so messed up and heartbroken that I think they're needing like some kind of drug to numb the pain, and that's soma, right? That's what this drug is supposed to be, and it sounds perfectly like that. Very well kind of created atmosphere in terms of its themes. Now, the biggest takeaway from this track for me is I think it's such a great example of what Gen Z music is, like that 90s music. And I think the greatest word to use for the music is angst. Angst expressed in all these different ways, whether it's a need to like suppress everything, and so everything is kind of this mellow thing until an explosion happens, which is a lot of Nirvana's music, which is like the opposite kind of philosophy to music that I think the 70s had. The 70s would have I think the word to describe them instead of angst would be freedom. Freedom is what I'd use for the 70s. I think of tracks or bands like Led Zeppelin or even the Rolling Stones, what their music represents of this like rock and roll and freedom and to do and express as you please. So very interesting philosophies between the two types of music. And as I've said before, I think things peaked around the late 60s and then all the way into like midway through the 70s perhaps, and then you had a lull in the 80s and then a new explosion that happened in the 90s, and then you had all this music that evolved out of that with all these new techniques of layered sounds, angsty lyrics, pain, expression of pain. I think one of those lines hit me the hardest about this type of music is wrapped my hurt in you and took my shelter in that pain. It's like a direct speaking of trauma and pain that's in a lot of this kind of Gen Z 90s. I think, are they called Gen Z or Gen X? No, these would be Gen X people. Gen X, sorry. Yeah, and then it's kind of the opposite of what like 70s music would do. It's not overtly spoken about in the music in the same way. But interesting, those are just my takes on the thing. I thought it was a cool track. Really eerie kind of guitars as well, that scratchy style that it had, especially in the guitar solo. It sounded like someone screaming into like a distortion mic, everything just distorted up. Cool songs, all in all, a cool experience. I guess I'll see you guys on the next viewer requested tracks. Peace out, have a good day.